city planning, we work with zoning enforcement, building inspections, so a lot of those types of activities. I also happen to live in Maple Grove. I've been here for almost 17 years, and I live just down the street from here. So most of my neighbors go to this church, so it's nice to be back. And it's nice to see all of you.
All right, my name is Todd Strege. I do community outreach and crime prevention for Maple Grove Police. I had the pleasure to speak to your group March of last year, so some of you might recognize me from that, where we talked on burglaries and thefts and other calls for service within the city of Maple Grove. So I've been in the PD for 19 years, and I've been doing this type of work for a little over 15.
All right, so we have a deck of slides here that we're going to run through and provide some updates just about what's going on and what's coming up here in the city. And certainly, I think maybe at the end, if there's an opportunity, for folks to ask questions, we're happy to field those as well. So, and we're going to just kind of pass it between ourselves for kind of our areas of responsibility with the city. So just kind of looking at the growth of the city over the years, a lot of growth really occurred in the early 2000s, late 1990s here in Maple Grove, and we continue to grow from a residential perspective, not at the pace maybe that we were in the early 2000s, but certainly continue to see residential development. We anticipate topping out here in Maple Grove just shy of about 90,000 people. We anticipate seeing most of that residential growth kind of in the northwest quadrant of the city, so kind of just due north of here. Other more infill areas in the southwest part of the city, eventually some areas of the gravel mining area would turn over to residential development, but that's kind of what we're projecting. We're going to be embarking on our comprehensive plan update, which is a planning document that we do every 10 years for the Metropolitan Council that kind of guides the future development, and really at this point we're talking about the build out of Maple Grove. We'll be projecting development out through 2050, and that really guides where we need to have infrastructure for roads, sewer, water, parks, and what type of development would happen in the various areas throughout the city. So looking at topping out there just about 90,000 people. I'll talk a little bit about our city council. So we are mayor, council, and city administrator form of government. So mayor and council are sort of the legislative heads of the city. My responsibility, I report directly to the city council, and I oversee the day-to-day operations of the city, as well as implement the council's programs and policies. So mayor and city council, here's an image of them, and I'll talk about each of them individually here. Many of you probably know Mayor Mark Stephenson. I think he's still a member here at this church, but Mayor Stephenson was appointed mayor in 2001 and elected again then in 2002. He will be up for election this fall. I think he plans to run again. This is getting to be a little bit of a rarity to have a very long-serving mayor in a community. We see a lot of change happening in a lot of suburbs, but he's represented the city very well and provided very solid leadership, not only to our staff, but also to the community. So we're grateful for his service. So that's Mayor Mark Stephenson. Councilmember Rochelle Johnson is kind of the next, the top, two of the top are the most senior, was elected to the council in 2023. She will be up for election this fall. And then Councilmember Christy Janigo, again, she'll be up this fall, but she is running for state senate. So we will have at least one new city council member this coming January. Mike Ostafi was elected in 2025, and then John McCullough in 2025 as well, so they won't be up until the 2028 election. So that's our current city council. Big election, this fall that we'll be administering gubernatorial election, and then we'll have the mayor and 2 council member seats open. Filing for that is roughly the middle of July timeframe, so we kind of get a sense of who's going to be running, and we do a lot of candidate orientation, that type of thing, getting into the election season. So with that, I'm going to turn it to Joe to talk a little bit about the retail in Maple Grove.
Thank you, Heidi.
I'll turn the slides for you.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you very much, Heidi. And again, it's good to be with you all today. My name is Joe. So my department, again, we work a lot with businesses in Maple Grove, and it's no secret that Maple Grove has a lot of we have a lot of businesses, and in particular, we have a lot of retail businesses and commercial businesses. Fun fact, we are actually the second largest concentration of retail in the state for any city next to Bloomington, which of course has the Mall of America. So we have a lot of it here, so it's really in our best interest to make sure that it stays successful, that we continue to attract great restaurants, great shops, things for people to do. So about 5.4 million square feet of retail space that we have in Maple Grove. You're looking at a picture of Main Street. You probably remember that just a couple years ago we did a little bit of a rehab to Main Street where we put in new street surface, new sidewalk, new benches, tables, plants, replaced some of the dying trees, just trying to make sure that everything kind of keeps up with the times. A lot of our local retailers also put in some reinvestment as well. The shops at Arbor Lakes just a couple years ago did a revamp. The Fountains continues to reinvest. So very happy with what we see there. You can go on to the next slide, Heidi. This is just a snapshot of some of the places that have opened in Maple Grove in the last year or so. Duluth Trading Company is a fun one over in the shops at Arbor Lakes. Grackle, I don't know if all of you have had an opportunity to try it. Great restaurant, great small plates. Northern Tap House, took me a while to get into that one. That one's very busy in the old Red Lobster. Finally got in a couple weeks ago and really liked what I saw, so it's great to have them around. But you can see some of the others here that we have that are either open or coming soon. So, small fact, the shops at Arbor Lakes, which is kind of I would say probably the epicenter of our retail community, is almost at 100% occupancy rate. So that's really outstanding for sort of a regional shopping center. So we're really excited that they're seeing those numbers and seeing the interest coming into Maple Grove. I'll probably go on. Hand it back to Heidi.
All right. I want to talk a little bit about the community center project. So we're very excited. We are going to be having a ribbon cutting on Monday the 16th for phase 1 of the community center project, which was a third sheet of ice and then sort of all the lobby space in front of the 3 arenas, sort of tying everything together, and then all the site work. So we built some additional parking on the west side and sort of redid kind of the access to the community center, and some landscaping, new park pavilion, playground, those types of things on the west side of the building. So that's a very big point of progress for us, is getting that third sheet of ice open. It's been open. They've been skating on it since January, but this is kind of the formal ribbon cutting. A lot of the finish work has now been completed. We are in process of design on phase 2 of the community center, which will be pretty much everything due east of those arenas. So when you think about the meeting rooms, the banquet space, the senior center, the indoor playground, the pools, all those types of things. So we will be finalizing construction documents on that here in April and getting out to bid in April. The next phase that will move forward is sort of the aquatics. So come September, the pools will shut down and we're going to start construction on kind of that center portion of the building, and the rest will kind of follow from there in terms of the banquet space, senior center, those types of things. We did acquire the Lifetime space. That transaction was done a year ago, December. They intend and are getting ready to start construction on a new club, a new Lifetime fitness club up by the hospital, so kind of just north of the hospital behind Home Depot there along 610. That construction will take them probably about 18 months to deliver that new club. And then once that is complete, they'll move out of that existing space that's connected to the community center, and we will renovate that space and incorporate it into the community center offerings. So we will have some fitness equipment space. We're moving sort of all the active uses over to that east end of the building into the Lifetime space. So the indoor playground will go down there, sort of the locker rooms, the concessions, the teen center, and then the fitness space and some fitness classes, which is a new offering for us. So we have always, with the relationship with Lifetime, we haven't been able to have those things in our building by the agreements between Lifetime and the city when that project was started. And so we're really excited to kind of provide this new offering to the community and kind of have everything under one roof in the city. So pretty exciting project, and we're going to be, our goal is completion by the end of 2028. And I know that sounds like a really long time. Feels like it too. I feel like we have been working on this project. It will be 10 years by the time it's all done from when we started putting together, the thoughts about it and putting the funding together. So it'll come fast though. This past year with construction of the arena moved pretty fast as well. So I have some images here. That's kind of what the image of the new entry point to the community center will be. And then that's an image of the new sheet of ice. If you haven't been in there, welcome you to the ribbon cutting on March 16th at 5:30. But it's really lovely. They built kind of an enlarged lobby space to serve all of the arenas, so that there's a lot more space to gather there when we have tournaments, those types of things. It's really turning out well. Let me go one more. And I talked a little bit about the Lifetime fitness agreement. So we did finalize that deal in 2024. And this is kind of the area where they would build a new club up on the north end. They do intend to eventually add some housing associated with it. Lifetime has housing in other parts of the country, Phoenix, Arizona area mainly. They have proposed that in Edina, but they haven't moved with that yet. But they do intend to add some housing up there. I think that's kind of a future phase. It would be kind of just west of the new club up there. So that's kind of the Lifetime fitness deal. All right, I'm going to turn it to Joe to talk about Minnesota Health Village, of which Lifetime is a component.
Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, we would be the first cold climate Lifetime fitness location that would have, they call it a country club style housing. So I would be curious to see, it just sounds immaculate and beautiful, but we would be the first one where, you have winter a good chunk of the year. So, so the Minnesota Health Village, that's really what we call the area that is the developing area that's just behind Maple Grove Hospital, just behind the Home Depot. So for years and years, that area was fields, and over the last probably 5 years, you've probably noticed that a road has been cut in there. You can take Grove Circle now, and you can get to Target by looping back around, kind of by some of the other businesses, by Aldi. So that is up in that area. We have added, not just in that area, but kind of in the general vicinity of the hospital, almost 1,000 units of housing just within the last 3 years. And so there's been a lot of housing that has gone up in that area. And there's probably 1 or 2 sites left in that area beyond just Lifetime where we might see some additional housing in that area. So it's called the Minnesota Health Village. It was developed by the Ryan Companies in partnership with the city. And true to its name, Health Village, we are working with them to look at the potential expansion of North Memorial Hospital at some point, looking at bringing additional services to that hospital. In addition to that, we have medical office buildings that we'd like to see sort of in that area, kind of adding to that medical campus that we all know that's up in that area. So looking for more of those, trying to attract those types of businesses. But that's what you see up there. I used to call it Uptown Maple Grove because downtown is what I call by our city hall. But Minnesota Health Village is what the official name is. Yeah, we'll hand it over to Todd.
Thank you, Joe. All right, so North Metro Regional Public Training, Safety Training Facility. This originally came to be back in 1992 when it was called LETF. It was the Law Enforcement Training Facility. So that's when the city first built it in partnership with the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, and at that time it was a 22,000 square foot facility. 30 years went by, and obviously 30 years of growth within Maple Grove and all of our surrounding cities, all the different cities that are partners, it was outgrown. It was outdated, it was in desperate need of just renovation and expansion and modernizing. So 2023, the city, along with many other entities, secured $17 million in order to expand the facility. So it's almost 60,000 square feet now. So it was almost tripled in size. 2 ranges. The big thing with it is Virtua, which is a virtual training facility, simulation training. all different types. I mean, we got a handful of classrooms over there as well, but then a lot of scenario-based training that our officers can do. Defensive tactics, but they can bring different types of equipment, you know, simulation, scenario-based training, all sorts of different stuff like that in there. But there's 4 partner cities, you know, Maple Grove, Brooklyn Park, Plymouth, and then the Sheriff's Office, and then we got about 40 different members, different cities that are members to the facility. And it is open on Saturdays to the public, so if you are interested in throwing any lead down range, you can certainly come out there and check it out. Yeah. Your group visited that facility? Okay, so you visited it after it was redone? Well, very cool. You guys saw it firsthand then. So, very cool. So,
I'm just in awe of your beautiful sanctuary. I feel like my church, which is Church of the Epiphany in Plymouth, could fit just the whole church in the sanctuary. So it's a beautiful, just keep looking around. But back to our presentation here. So talking a little bit about business growth in Maple Grove. We talked about how we have so many retailers, so many restaurants. One of the things that we were real careful to do during the last comprehensive plan phase about 10 years ago was make sure that we don't overbuild for those things. We don't want to basically cannibalize our retail. So we don't want to keep building and building and building and having things move to the newer areas and then have the older areas kind of die out. We've seen that happen in some other suburbs, I won't name names, and it's just really not a great way to plan a city. So when the city council went to put the master plan together for the area by 169 and 94, gravel mining area, they were very specific and wanted to do job creation, job growth, research development, medical, things that would bring in jobs, but then also complement the existing retail that we had in the city. So we call it the GMA, or the gravel mining area, as you can see on the screen. And that area continues to grow. You've probably all been on I-94 as you come into the city. It used to feel like we were really out in the boonies when you drive by and you'd see that old shack that was used for gravel mining operations. Now you see the beautiful Boston Scientific campus that we see there. We see the building that's on the corner called BAE that kind of greets folks as they come into the city. That is a national defense contractor. And we see some other buildings as well, sort of closer to Lowe's, that have a myriad of businesses. Medical related, we have a tile company that's there that takes up a whole building. We even have an entertainment venue in there, Slick City Action Park, so if you've seen that. So with all these additions, we're now at about just over 40,000 jobs in the city of Maple Grove. That means that, you know, our daytime population, if you want to think of it that way, we bring in about 40,000 people to work in the city. I think in the next slide we have a closer view of Boston Scientific. No, here we go. This is a site plan that kind of shows the Minnesota Science and Technology campus. That's part of the master development that has Boston Scientific included. Boston Scientific was a real big project for the city, a real big win for the city. We were up against other cities in the United States, I believe Atlanta, Boston itself, and we were having to prove that Maple Grove was the best place for them to invest in what they wanted to do with these corporate jobs and bring this to the state of Minnesota. So it was a real big deal to our city council, to our mayor, to the governor. We had everybody there for the grand opening of this facility on 94 back in the fall. It was just a really cool day. So the facility that you see is about 400,000 square feet, offices, research, development, and already, even though this just opened, they were approved for an additional about 300,000 square feet of more space. So this building's even going to extend even further to the east, and they're still going to work on some landscaping and other things that will really pop as you come into the city on I-94. So excited to see Boston Scientific there. What that means for folks that might have to drive by the Weaver Lake Road campus, such as myself, many times a day, that campus is actually going to continue to grow physically, but the number of people that work there is going to go down. So in other words, traffic impacts from that facility are going to go down, simply because they're going to be opening up space to do more manufacturing and development in that space, and less people doing office jobs. Those folks are moving to the Arbor Lakes campus. So over time, you'll notice less and less traffic coming from Boston Scientific on Weaver Lake Road.
And maybe before I move on from Boston Scientific, I'll talk a little bit about, as you all drive Weaver Lake Road, I know it's been a real pain. to say the least. A lot of the work that's being done there, Boston Scientific we now call that the Arbor Lakes campus. I'm sorry, we call that the Weaver Lake campus, and the one out on 1694 we call the Arbor Lakes campus. So at the Weaver Lake campus, they're switching to all electric for their heating and cooling in their building, which increased the electrical demand at that facility, in addition to shifting to more production at that facility. So they needed to increase the power service to that building. So the work that's been done along Weaver Lake Road and then north on 89th is really kind of the backhaul to that building, and eventually connects up to other Excel assets to the north. So increasing the power service to that building. While that work was being done, there's been a lot of small utilities in the right-of-way that have taken the opportunity to replace infrastructure. We had a very unfortunate gas line hit right in December. It was like busy holiday time, middle of December, that was hit, and created some really significant traffic issues out there. So that was certainly an unfortunate incident that happened. But the good news is, and maybe not quite the good news, if I was here a year from now, I would be telling you all the good news, but we are going to be doing kind of a reconstruct on Weaver Lake Road this summer, now coming in behind all that utility work. We're going to be adding some turn lanes to key areas where there's a lot of turning movements happening. So one more season of construction, bear with us. We know this has been impactful, and we've sort of encouraged folks, if there's an alternate route that you can take into town off of Bass Lake or going north, that might be a good choice. But one more season of construction, and then we're going to be getting out of there, and that work will be done in that corridor. So I'll shift back over to the east side of the city, kind of related to the Boston Scientific project and all of the development happening out in the gravel mining area. One of the big important transportation improvements for the city was to get the 169 Elm Creek Boulevard interchange replaced. Became even more important when about a year ago or so there was a bridge strike out there where a truck hit the bridge. Did some pretty good damage. So if you ever drive through there right now, you see it's lane restricted and weight restricted, which is really not a great condition when you have all of the traffic coming from the gravel mining area. There's a lot of trucking traffic through that area. So we have worked really hard to advance and get all the funding lined up to do this project. Which I can happily say the money is in place to get this done. We were successful in securing some dollars through the legislature last year. There's probably about 6 different funding sources in this project. We intend to drop this bridge probably late September, October of this year. So bridge will go down, they'll work over the winter on the bridge components, and that likely will be open by the end of the summer of 27. So lots of impact there with an interchange out, but it is truly the most efficient way to get a bridge down and back up in short order. So, and they've done that along the 169 corridor, if you've seen some of those projects. So 169 Elm Creek, that's our top transportation project priority right now to get that project done. And we're really grateful for the partners that were able to come to the table to help us put that funding together. Let me go to the next slide here. Maybe we should have you turn in these. Nope, got it. So this kind of up in your neck of the woods up here, this was a very important project that we saw completed last fall, was the completion of 610 up on the northwest side of the city. So sort of completed the interchanges out there and made the connection out to County Road 30. So very important part of the transportation system in getting 610 completed. We kind of always joked it was the mayor's cathedral project. I think he'd been working on 610, for it's been edging 30 years. The work on 610 has really been probably 50 to 60 years in the making. There had been right-of-way that had been preserved for this corridor from the from the early 70s, really. And so these things take time and they take a lot of money. This last segment of this was about a $58 million project. The city was the lead on this. We had about 8 different funding sources, very complicated funding situation for a project of this magnitude. So really happy to see 610 done, and hopefully as people find new routes, taking a little pressure off of Maple Grove Parkway, which is intended to be more of a local connector, not a system-to-system movement type road. Let me go. And then I'll let Joe talk a little bit about development up and around the new 610 corridor.
Thanks, Heidi. I mean, is 610 ever really done, though? I mean, someday it might go to Hanover, right? I mean, that maybe. You never know. For now, it's done. Yes, it's done for us. Northwest Maple Grove, you can see here, it's kind of hard to see that little map, but that's the area around the Hindu Temple, Highway 610. We have added I shouldn't say we, the market has added in the last probably 5-6 years since COVID, about 1,500 homes in that part of Maple Grove. And so the largest neighborhood up there is called Evanswood, that you might see, that's just south of the Hindu Temple. So it's mostly single-family homes. We do have some townhomes as a part of that. And then we also have some apartments that are along what now is the Highway 610 corridor. So a lot of residential growth happening in that area. I would say probably most of the growth you can expect to see as we move further north, even than the Hindu Temple, will continue to be single-family homes. And so city staff has been talking with developers probably for the last, I don't know, since I've been around, 7 years, about those properties up there. So I think it's just a matter of time before we start to see more homes. But it's a very interesting area. If you haven't been up there, the Rush Creek Regional Trail will go right through there. Parts of that have already been constructed. So the Rush Creek Regional Trail starts at the Coon Rapids Dam, takes you over to Elm Creek Park Reserve, and the intent now is to bring you from Elm Creek Park Reserve over to Crow-Hassan Park in Rogers. So it'd be a really cool trail corridor through there. The city did some restoration of Rush Creek back there a couple years ago, so the creek itself is flowing very nicely, just a very beautiful asset to the city. One of the things back there is, if we could go to the next slide, I guess I could have gone to the next slide myself, thank you, Heidi, is the new Aspen Ridge Elementary School. So Aspen Ridge Elementary School is what the Osseo School District families kind of decided to name the school. Aspen, the aspen tree, will be the mascot for the school. And as I understand it, that means unity. So that's why they chose that. This will be an interesting school within the district because it will feature more of a collaborative style of teaching, more of a team teaching approach, more lab use and things like that rather than your standard individualized classrooms. So it's expected to be open this coming fall, so 2026, 2027, and will serve kids from pre-K all the way up through 5th grade. So something that really I think is desired and needed in Maple Grove. We all hear about how full some of our elementary schools can get, so we are excited to see that come on board in the city. We also have a park that's going to go just to the north of this school, kind of keeping in the tradition of having city parks kind of tag along to some of the elementary schools and middle schools here in the city. So again, looking forward to that. I wanted to also mention a new senior living complex. This is on the other side of 94, just sort of north of 610, kind of across from the Yardway site. But it's Oppidan, which is the company that is running it. It's 195 units of housing that would be sort of a continuum of care. So they have everything from independent living, they'll have cottages, they'll have assisted type living situations, and so we still continue to see a need for that in Maple Grove and a market for that. So recently approved by the council in concept, and they are working on developing sort of final plans for that. So hopefully within the next couple of years, we'll see something happen out there. Yeah.
All right. I want to talk a little bit about the community survey. So about every 4 years or so, the city does a citywide survey. And we work with a company called Polco to do that. We've been doing this for many years. I think this will probably be our 6th community survey. We do it in kind of 2 different ways. One is sort of a statistically significant survey that residents receive a postcard in the mail. They can either respond to the survey via a paper survey, or they can click a link and go online to complete that survey. That data set is kind of kept separate so that we have good data there, and a lot of the questions are the same from survey to survey so that we can benchmark from year to year, as well as benchmark against other cities here in the state of Minnesota or around the country. So around the country, Polco does these surveys, and they keep a lot of the questions the same. We also then do put that survey on our website for anybody to go do, and that's kind of a different data set. And we ask all kinds of questions in there just about your impressions about the services that the city provides, how safe you feel in the community, what kinds of services you value, that type of thing. So it is a little lengthy. It's about 8 pages, but I think you can move through it pretty quickly in probably about 15, 20 minutes or so. It's important data for us to get. We do use that and rely on that to kind of look at how we're doing. I mentioned earlier, we're going to be getting into our comprehensive plan update. So we look to that data because it asks feedback about the types of development that are happening and that type of thing. And so we do use that data to help us inform that process as well. So we will be out with that survey. The time frame is like middle of April to the middle of May. I think it's April 17th to May 22nd. So there's a good period of time there where you can get out and respond to that survey. I encourage you to do that. If you're one of the lucky ones to get a postcard at your home, hopefully you will respond. We send those out to we split it up between kind of the 4 quadrants of the city, and we try to the goal would be to get about 1,000 respondents so that it can be statistically significant, like plus or minus 3% on that data. So look for that to come out. It's in the newsletter. We'll be promoting it on social media, but very important. And whether you are one of the ones selected to complete the survey via postcard or you reply online, we really do take all that data very seriously. So that's the community survey, and I am going to turn it over to Todd to talk about just some crime prevention items for seniors.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to touch a little bit on scams. I don't think we talked about this at all last year, and to be honest, I could probably talk about scams for about an hour. But I'm going to give you the very condensed, abbreviated version. The big 3 things that I always throw out to people just to be aware of is if you're ever maybe getting involved in what could be a scam and you ever hear gift card, pay money to get money, or you get kind of sketchy companies that are calling trying to verify your info. That should raise the hair on the back of your neck. If I had time, I've got dozens of police reports I could read that our officers have taken of people that have been victimized and people that have also, sniffed it out and prevented from a loss of money. But gift cards is always a big one. It should always be a red flag to you. We've had it happen where, someone will call up and be impersonating even a Maple Grove officer and claim that a person has a warrant for their arrest. And then they'll go, you owe us $500, we take Visa gift card. Well, government agencies don't take gift cards, so we only take cash. But it's one of those things to where if the gift card thing ever sticks out to you, that should be a red flag. Hang up on that person. Don't waste your time with them. Pay money to get money. It's not the worst scam that I've seen that our officers have taken, but we had one about 4 or 5 years ago where an individual lost a little over $300,000 because they thought they won an $8 million publisher clearinghouse prize. And they paid out over $300,000, what they thought were paying taxes and stuff like that ahead of time in order to claim the winnings. So anytime you have to pay money to get money, it's a scam, 100%. The company is verifying info. This is always if a company is calling you out of the blue. Obviously if you call your utility company, you call your bank, you're the one initiating the contact. Obviously they need to verify you are who you are. But we see it more and more now where someone just claims they're with Comcast or they're with this utility company or this bank and they just call you out of the blue. Say, hey, we just want to verify your date of birth and social security number. Why would they do that? Doesn't make sense, but people fall for it. So it's just one of those things where, it's 3 little pieces at least just to be cautious of, be extra paranoid, just to try to protect your data the best you can. And then next slide. So big thing, utilize your caller ID. It's there for a reason. I tell everyone if it's not in your phone contacts, don't answer. Don't waste your time. Let them leave a voicemail, listen to that voicemail, and then do your homework. If it seems kind of dicey, have a friend listen to it, have family listen to it, talk with some other people, run it by a few people. Just try to validate it before you call them back and initiate contact. Same thing just with personal information over the phone and the email. A company that reaches out to you and they want to randomly verify info, it's your info. Try to guard it the best you can. Text messages are definitely getting worse now. I'm sure everyone gets unsolicited text messages, USPS trying to verify package delivery, even Amazon text messages where someone logged into your account from outside the country, they want you to click on a link. Avoid those big time. A lot of times if you click on those links, something's going to get downloaded on your phone. And it's going to interrupt the integrity and security of your phone, and they might be able to access data. Just some third-party entity ideas. Consider freezing your credit. It pretty much makes it to where no one can pull your credit report. So at least if your identity, especially if your identity is compromised or it has been stolen in the past, it'll make it where someone won't be able to open a loan or a different account under your name. And then obviously you can always utilize kind of a third-party watchdog service that keeps an eye if new accounts get opened under your information, stuff like that. They make you aware, and if it is fraudulent, they can work with you. So big thing, you got to just be as diligent as you can. I wish we could track the statistical number behind it. I mean, I probably read a police report every week of just a different scam, whether successful or not, that has just happened in the city. A lot of them, I would say, are 10,000 or less, but that's still a lot of money. A lot of them will be kind of $500 to $2,000. That's really common. But we've got a few. The worst one I've ever seen, at least the greatest loss was about $500,000. And that's just here in Maple Grove. But we've certainly had a handful where they've been six figures. So guard your information the best you can. Don't ever be afraid to reach out to us. So if you get a call and you really think it's kind of something dicey, don't be afraid to call and talk with an officer through it or call our office. So it's certainly not a big deal at all. So.
That's me, thank you. Yeah, I got a text just this morning saying that was the Minneapolis Police Department, and they had me on camera running a red light in Minneapolis, but little do they know I rarely leave Maple Grove, so I knew right away that it was a scam. Not be me. So we have, so to kind of conclude our formal presentation, we just kind of wanted to end on a fun note. We have all these fun things that are coming up this summer. Hopefully you can be a part of them. Chalk Fest is coming back. I know there was some concern that it was going to go away because the group that had organized it had disbanded, but we are bringing it back. So the city, the Maple Grove Arts Center, and also the artist who kind of started it all 10 years ago have come together to bring it back. So it will be, as usual, the first full weekend in June. So that is Saturday, June 13th and Sunday, June 14th. It will be on Main Street, but it will be a little bit north. So it'll start kind of where 3 Squares and the police station start and kind of go north, so we can kind of keep that business area open to traffic. So expecting to have just as many artists this year, just as much fun. So stop by, bring the family. Maple Grove Days, once again, fun for the whole family. That will be from July 15th through July 19th this year. So another fun event ending with the wonderful fireworks, so we're excited about that. Todd's Baby, the National Night Out, that will be once again August 4th, Tuesday, August 4th. So that's where we come around to all the neighborhoods, get to meet folks. Yes, ours is the number one. Is it in attendance? Number of people attending?
It's kind of an overall, they grade us on about 8 different things.
Oh, cool.
Participation and outreach and just involvement from residents.
That's awesome. The year I participated, it was probably 100 degrees, so that was not a great one to judge. So, Rock in the Grove is another fun one. That's our fall concert that is had over in Central Park. So that's going to be September 9th this year. But again, another fun venue. Not sure yet on who the band will be. I guess that'll be a little bit of a surprise. And then we have, of course, the Sounds of Summer event that comes up. Those are the wonderful concerts that are had over in Town Green. And then we have, we're planning again next year for our winter festivities, which this year we had a great turnout at the Mayor's Fishing, the first ever Mayor's Fishing tournament, and the Winter Fest that we do over mostly at Central Park. So, but winter is over. I saw the cranes today taking down the lights along Main Street, so I think that's always a sign that we're moving into spring. That concludes our presentation, but we are all very happy to answer any questions that any of you might have for us.
We didn't talk about Hockey Day Minnesota.
Why don't you talk? Heidi's a hockey mom.
Yeah. So Hockey Day Minnesota is coming to Maple Grove 2028. We're really excited about this. So this is being led by Experience Maple Grove, which is our destination management organization here. It's funded off the hotel tax. So they put in a bid to get Hockey Day Minnesota here. So January 30th, it'll be around the end of January. They have the rights to move the date if they need to, but end of January 2028 over at Central Park. I don't know if you've ever attended Hockey Day Minnesota before, but this will be like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday type event over at Central Park. They'll build out basically a outdoor hockey arena. A lot of the local association hockey teams will play, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Saturday, both the Maple Grove senior girls and boys high school teams will play. And then it usually ends up with like a college game in the evening. They don't have that kind of all defined yet, but very fun time in Maple Grove, and we're going to have lots of different activities around it. So pretty big deal to get Hockey Day Minnesota, and it's a big lift as well. So we have 2 years of planning to get that underway for Hockey Day Minnesota. So with that, I think we would stand for any questions that people have, and I don't know if we want to move the mic. We can probably hand a mic around if that would be easiest. Maybe it's this one. You want to? Sure. Okay, and then, why don't we got somebody up here, and then we'll go back there.
I have a question about what you're going to do about pennies, which is an eyesore.
Oh,
And,
I'll hand the mic to
also,
Joe.
When the mayor was here, he said he was going to put the food shelf in the lower level of the community ed. Was that changed?
Do you want to take the food?
Sure, I can address that. So we are incorporating what we're calling partner space into the community center. It's going to be more of a kind of a landing spot for them where people could come in and talk to their staff and access services. I think for the food shelf part of it, I know Cross is looking at maybe more of like a warehouse type facility that they might have, that service sort of expanded here to Maple Grove. So that's something they're still working on. But Cross, the organization, will have a landing spot in the community center where people can come in and access their services.
Okay,
And
what
then
about pennies?
JCPenney, I'll give that to Joe. That's Joe's baby. He's gonna get that solved.
I wouldn't call it my baby. My demon baby. Bad baby. No, JCPenney. So it's an interesting thing. So it's the mall. The mall that JCPenney's is in is owned by an entity out of China. And they have been an interesting group to work with because they've been very non-responsive to sort of any of the outreach that the city has done in terms of wanting to get something in there. When JCPenney's first closed back in 2021, 2022, we did have some interest from some legitimate retailers that wanted to go into that space. We had not home goods, but it was like a home good type store that wanted to go in there, and they really just were ghosted by the mall management. So long story short, it's really sort of languished. We had some local people that were interested in doing some things there for the arts. Unfortunately, they found out what we sort of already knew, which is it is just really in bad shape. I mean, there's mold in there. There was some issues with the roof caving in, so moisture was able to get in, and it would really take a lot of money to fix that place up. So it's getting to the point where the city is looking into some options that might involve something more than just bringing in a new user for that building. We don't know exactly how we're going to go about doing that, but it's certainly on the radar. Our city council has asked us to kind of get involved, and so I think it's on everybody's mind. But I don't think you're going to see another user come in there. I think it's going to be something a little bit more drastic that's going to have to happen over there. So. Yeah, so the question was, could the city pursue a lawsuit? We're keeping all the options open. Basically, we'd have to prove that it's blighted, and there are actual tests to kind of determine if a building meets the blight test, but we're going to be walking through those exercises this year, absolutely. So thank you. I think we have one more back there, and why don't we start back there and we'll come back up here. Perfect. Yep, perfect.
Oh, okay, thanks. I actually have 3 questions. It looks like the Coldwater Creek property in Arbor Lakes is being redone to something. I'm wondering what it is.
Yes, the old Coldwater Creeks at Arbor Lakes, plus I believe the 2 spots next to it.
Correct.
Are going to be a LL Bean. So it's going to be one of the largest LL Bean stores outside of, I think is it New Hampshire or Maine? One of the 2. So it's going to be a flagship store for them.
Great.
Very excited about that.
Phase 3, is there going to be an indoor walking track? My understanding was there was, and then it looks like it's not, and I'm tired of going to Plymouth to walk indoors in the winter.
Yes, I can answer that quick, and I can Yes, so there is a walking track currently in the Lifetime space, so it'll pretty much stay exactly that way. We might put some new flooring down, paint a few things or something, but that walking track will be in that facility. It'll be part of the membership. So that's, that'll be part of a community center membership, the walking track. There is free walking at our dome. I don't know if you've ever used that. Okay, so not a good amount of time. Okay, all right. But the dome is available. I know there's a lot of construction going on back down there at the high school right now, so that's a little bit of a mess.
My last question is about Gateway Fiber Optics. We live in the east side of Maple Grove, and we finally got a note on our door. We've been asking as we walk what's going on, because they're tearing up everybody's yard, and some of them pretty badly, and we have a lot of landscaping and things, and I'm wondering why the city didn't alert us that this was all going to be happening, and what's the deal with them?
Yeah, I'd be happy to take your information and follow up on that. But yes, there has been a lot of broadband fiber development throughout the metro area. We're not alone in this. And some of the companies are better than others in terms of their construction. So they are obligated to restore. So if you are having concerns in your neighborhood, I'd be happy to take your information and have our engineering staff. We have an individual, Kelly Matsky, in our engineering department. He does all the right-of-way permitting. So they would, they're subject to getting a right-of-way permit. And so that's something we can follow up on. That she wanted to know why the city doesn't alert them that it's all happening. I would have to check with our engineering team. Like, I'm not sure what their process is for, advising a neighborhood that these folks are coming out to do work. I can check on that as we follow up. I'll get your information before we leave.
We're going to grab a question up here.
Where are they going to have Maple Grove Days this year? Back at Central Park or back at the Community Center?
The question was, where is Maple Grove Days going to be this year? And back at Central Park. I think that might be the permanent home, Heidi. I'm not sure what the planning is, but for sure this year with everything going on.
Yeah, for sure it's going to be back at Central Park. I think everybody really kind of loved it. I thought just being out on the grass instead of in a parking lot was really lovely, because it's always real warm in the middle of July. And then I just thought people stuck around. Like the music and everything just sort of flowed together for the evening, and so it just became a really fun venue for that.
A question on the Weaver Lake Road, all of the work that's been done in the last year now. West Fish Lake Road really took a beating because of all of dump trucks going up and down. So they're going to do the same thing next year, then redo Weaver Lake Road, and then after that, the year after, do the West Fish Lake Road repaving or something?
I'm not sure that one's on the list, but I can check with our engineering staff in terms of, I understand there's been a lot of detour traffic and truck traffic that has gone out there. So, I can check into that. I'm not aware that it's on the list to follow on Weaver, but...
The tractor-trailer type trucks are very heavy, and now you get these weaves that are go right through the blacktop. So
Okay.
It needs work.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the rental policies of homes in Maple Grove. I think that there was a policy and then it might have changed. What do we know about homes and rental policies?
I can absolutely answer that. So rental licenses. So we do in Maple Grove, if you are going to rent your home or a home is going to be rented, you are required to have a rental license. Those rental licenses are good for 3 years. So you would come to the city or apply online. And what that entails is then we would go and inspect the house for basically, we're looking for two types of things. First, we're looking for life safety things, making sure the windows are able to be opened, egress is maintained, railings are where they're supposed to be, things like that. But we're also looking for property maintenance type things to make sure that, grass is being mowed, landscaping is in place, the home is painted properly, no broken windows, like that. So we would look for those things, and then every 3 years we do those types of inspections. Once a year, we do sort of a drive-by. So every 3 years we're inside the homes, and then the other 2 years we're having staff drive by and make sure that things look upkept from the street. During COVID, we saw a big uptick in the number of single-family homes that were rented. So we did see an uptick in that. We're actually starting to see that number come down a little bit. So I'm thinking that as these homes start to turn over, they're starting to get more younger families that are starting to purchase them. In fact, we had a company that at one point owned 31 homes in Maple Grove that it rented. It is now down to about 25 homes, and so sold the other homes back into sort of private ownership. But definitely something that we get a fair number of complaints about, just for the ones that kind of ruin it for everyone else. And so we do have the authority to come out there and inspect and make correction orders if we need to do that. The police department also helps if there's ever any sort of crime involved with rental housing. To be honest with you, we don't see a lot of that. There might be the perception that happens, but really I think our office is only sort of working with police, maybe a couple handful times a year on some more serious type things. So usually it's more property maintenance type issues. So, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we have, just to follow up on that, we have systems in place to notify property owners, like rental property owners and managers, when there are police contacts at the property. So all the bigger properties in town are on that system automatically. A lot of the kind of mom and pop operated rentals, they can voluntarily sign up for it. But they're notified of that, so they're kept in tune when our officers are out there. They're always encouraged to get copies of police reports just so they're in the know of stuff that's going on, if anything is. But yeah, I mean, every city has it. You'll get a few properties that stick out more than others, and we give them due diligence and attention when they're needed. A lot of the other properties in town, though, I mean, we have good management companies and good ownership, especially at the big properties. It's an investment for them, and they want to keep the properties nice, and but yeah, we get calls to them. It's inevitable, but yeah, we stay on top of it. And then I do rental owner education classes as well. So all of our rental owners are required to go through this class, and then they kind of learn the basics of working with the police department, the crime and drug side of stuff. We have an attorney that comes in and goes over legal issues, eviction, stuff like that, fair housing, applicant screening. So we do that with all the rental owners and managers as well.
What's the status of adding retail outlets next to the Hy-Vee grocery store?
Take that one. Thank you, sir. So retail by the Hy-Vee grocery store, that's of interest to me too, since that's near my house. We had Culver's open on Monday. So if you haven't, you probably all have been over there since this is where your church is, but Culver's opened for good on Monday. Obviously they have a little bit more work to do outside with landscaping and things when the weather gets nicer. There are 2 pad sites left to be developed there. The one on the corner that kind of faces this way, they are talking to a clinic that would want to perhaps go in there. And then there's one other site that is still open for development. There's a retail building next to the gas station over there that is just about to be completed, probably within the next month, 2 months. And there's things that are going in there. We don't have the exact names, but things that you would probably expect sort of in a neighborhood commercial. I know there's going to be a salon. I believe there's going to be a fast casual restaurant, things like that. But there's not a whole lot left to go over there. It's not going to be, Arbor Lakes number 2. It's more meant to be serving the neighborhoods than more of a regional draw. So, yes, ma'am.
Does their city have any plans to deal with the terrible turkeys that multiply?
I can't say that I know of any plans. Heidi, do you know of any plans? There are plans. We do wildlife management. I'm just not really involved. I know police.
Well, I mean, a big component that I can at least advocate for is don't feed them. We run into that. We've had major issues with that in the past, especially kind of up by the government center and northeast of there, where businesses were actually, the employees would put out stuff and feed the turkeys. Well, then it was turning into turkeys attacking cars and getting aggressive, and they would even, we had UPS drivers that would call 911 because it was kind of up that way, because the turkeys were chasing them. When you feed them, they become dependent, and they stick around, and they're expecting it, and then they start to turn into a problem. I haven't heard anything about destroying roofs, but...
I only recently learned they can fly.
There are regulations with the bird feeders, though, as far as they do have to be up a certain height and stuff like that.
I do know we've done some outreach with the DNR on the turkey issue, and I know this sounds kind of crazy, but it's like you almost have to confront them. And they talk about like using pots and pans and, you know, a big broom and that kind of thing. Like, and I know that's, so in situations where we've had, you know, seniors call, we're like, do you have a child that could come over? And, you know, I know our officers have sometimes gone out and they sort of take over the territory if you don't hold it. So that's what the DNR recommendations are sort of like confrontation and holding your territory, which sounds really kind of crazy. Yeah, they are
Anything
crazy
reflective,
birds.
they go after.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Yeah. What else for questions? I got one back here. And Joe informed me West Fish Lake Road is on for 2028. I should know that. You know, that's good.
Well, it's not a question. It's just say thank you very much for the presentation. But we certainly enjoy the sounds of summer, the Chalk Fest, all of the summer activities. I mean, the special cart lady that takes us to and from, the popcorn and the vanilla ice cream. So please keep that up. You bet.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm a member of the Maple Grove Rotary Club, and our Rotary Club has sponsored the Wednesday night concerts there, the Mick Sterling series. And so it's been fun. We've been out volunteering, doing things out there. So it's been really fun to be out there on Wednesday nights and see the crowd of people that come early, and it's been great. So thank you.
I understand there's going to be a new arts place next to the Lifetime Library area. When?
I guess I can talk about it, or Joe. So it's a performing arts center, and it would be in that open lot, just kind of east of the library ramp there. The city owns those two lots along Main Street, so it's the southern lot. It's being proposed by a local Maple Grove family, Shane and Danielle Vinup, that are behind the proposal. Their nonprofit is called Avalanche Arts, so if you want to go kind of look that up. But it'll be a performing arts center. I think they're about, is it proposed to be 300 seats?
Oh, thank you. So this would be a theater, so a community theater, very cool. And the Avalanche Arts is working with a bunch of different local groups, so like the Bunce family, the Cross performers, you know, all these different groups that are going to finally have their own space. 300 seats. They are going before our City Council and Planning Commission in the next few weeks here, actually, for a concept design. So they've already put some work into that. The city has officially leased them the land, so we have that all taken care of. And I just talked to Shane Vinup. I think the Vinups might be members at this church, so you might know those names. Yep, they are. So I spoke with Shane yesterday, and he informed me that they're doing pretty well with their fundraising. They really had a lot of interest, and will probably see dirt move, he thinks, within the next year to year and a half on that site. So that's performing arts. Art, or like painting and visual arts, I guess we'll call it. The Maple Grove Art Center, that is in the fabled JCPenney's mall right now. Because they needed a place to be temporarily. So they're there for the next couple of years. But the reason they're there is a temporary spot. They are going to be part of our community center when we finally finish that. So they're going to have a great space in there. It's currently the indoor playground with those vaulted ceilings. So that's going to be converted to the Maple Grove Art Center. They're going to do their classes there. They're going to have some gallery space there. So we're really excited to work with them too. So the arts are all moving to the civic campus, so to speak.
When you pick up Lifetime Fitness next to the community center, what are the plans for additional indoor pickleball courts?
Oh, at the gym, the community gym. Yeah, I know that's been a situation over there. There will be there's a gym within the Lifetime space, and that will remain. So there will be times where, like at the community center today, where that's programmed for indoor pickleball. We don't have plans for additional gym space over there other than what's existing. I do know that up at the new elementary school, They did a partnership with the Basketball Association for adding additional gym space up there, so that might be an opportunity. We are still working on that community gym situation to try to get back more of that time. Those are all partnership projects that we do, you know, with the school district and usually a sports association, and so it's kind of a give and take, but we're aware of that issue. We've had a lot of outreach on that, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at today, but we know that there's a desire for more indoor pickleball space. Lifetime is going to have, I think, I'm looking, do you remember, is it indoor up there, pickleball, or is it outdoor? Indoor and outdoor, so that's another Lifetime. I know that's a little bit of a higher brow option, but an option nonetheless. Anybody else?
Intersection, Hemlock 61 and over there by Chick-fil-A, is Hampton County redoing that major intersection?
Yeah, that's a Hennepin County project. It's primarily going to be focused on kind of turning movement improvements and then pedestrian improvements. So it's not like a real big full reconstruct. It's more kind of addressing those, you know, turning movements and trying to make pedestrian traffic through there better, which that's tough. You're going across so many lanes of traffic. So and I think that is the summer of 27, if I'm not mistaken, the Hemlock Elm Creek Boulevard. Okay.
Oh, sorry. There's some utility work that's happening right now with the shops at Arbor Lakes and actually the LL Bean store that's going in. So people thought that it was gearing up for that intersection project, but it's just a small utility project that's happening right now. But the project at the intersection, yeah, it's going to be, you know, right now when you turn on that intersection, I think on any one of the sides, it's kind of like you're merging onto a freeway where you kind of just take that free turn. It'll become more, you know, go up, stop, take a hard right, meaning that you'll be able to not, you know, necessarily be going at a fast clip so that pedestrians can get through there more safely. I think there's also going to be some increased refuge space if you are trying to cross the street there. So.
All right, what else? Anybody else? Going once? Oh, he's got one back here. We had to take her. All right. I'll walk as fast as I can here. For the Lions Park over at the community center. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Different design though. It's a lot more open, but the Lions Pavilion is being replaced over there. Just kind of, yep, behind Cub. Yep. We bought a little land from Cub to expand parking over there on the west side, and then we pushed out towards the lake a little bit. One of the goals with the community center project is to sort of flip the building, if you will, and have more view sheds of the lake and all that beautiful area behind there. So like the banquet facility will look out over there. So now the pavilion will have more view, the playground, all those types of things. So yeah, we worked with the Lions Club on that. They contributed some dollars, bless them. So yeah, it's going to be good. And it's going to have restrooms out there. So that's going to be, yeah. Oh. Yes. We're going to have restrooms out there. It's going to be a little better, I think. So, yeah, a little more open. So, all right, what else? Anything else this afternoon? Oh, we got one here.
The new parking lot by the community center, is that walking trail going to open up again?
Yes, it will. I'm trying to think. I think there might be some impacts during the phase 2 construction because that's going to include the aquatics. So they're going to do a lot of excavation back there to kind of pull out the middle of the building and redo those pools. So, but eventually, yes, we will have that loop back between the two buildings. Yeah, I know our employees use that every day, so it's important. All right, what else? Anything else? Well, we got one left. One more.
Any plans for a dog park?
A dog park. We haven't really. I know there's a Three Rivers. Is there a Three Rivers Dog Park up at Elm Creek? Oh, Fish Lake. Yeah, so dog parks at Elm Creek and Fish Lake, part of the Three Rivers Park District system. It's not been something that we've had on the list or had a lot of discussion about, not to say that we couldn't, but there are those 2 other regional assets in town. So, All right, well, we appreciate the opportunity to come out and connect with all of you and kind of give you an update about what's going on in the city, and then you'll be ambassadors out with your neighbors and friends talking about what you know about, so that's good. I know they were recording this today, so I think they're gonna, great idea for Bonnie. Bonnie's a fellow Rotarian with me, so they're gonna get that up on the website, so if you wanna take a look or refer it to friends. But we appreciate the opportunity to come in and visit with you, so thank you.